In order to make this project, you will need a bike pump, a wine cork, 2 skewers, some sellotape, scissors, a bottle and a box of cereal. First, we're going to take the cereal box and cut it into the 4 main pieces as shown. Then, we're going to put those on the side for later, because we're going to use those for the fins and the nose cone of the rocket. Now, we're going to make the pump that we're going to use to launch the rocket. So, if you've got a cork, then you don't really need to worry about this step. All you need to do is drill through the cork so your bike pump can fit through. However, I haven't got that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own. So I took one of those cork they used to reseal wine bottles, and I also took a little straw, and I sellotaped the straw to the bike pump, and then stuck that in the resealable cork, and just sellotaped it all together, so it was so tight that the air couldn't escape. And if you wanted to now, what you could do is you could just take your rocket outside, point it upwards, and fire it. And you'd just be doing it out there, so it wouldn't go very high at all. But that's actually useful, because it means you can check whether your rocket whether the seals are good, and it will explode at the right place. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make ourselves some launch clamps so the rocket can launch upwards, and this is good for 2 reasons. Well, first of all, it means that it's less of a hassle to launch it, because you can launch it with just the one person, so you don't need someone to hold the rocket for you. But also, it means the rocket will fly straighter, and if it flies straighter, that means it will go higher. Right, so how do you make these? You get your skewer, and you wrap the paper around it until you've used up all the paper, and it has to be really, really tight, because otherwise it won't work as well. And then you tape those together, with one piece of tape at each end. And then you cut it roughly in half. And then you should have 2 very small tubes of about the same length, and those are going to be what you're going to stick on your rocket to make the launch clamps. So what you need to do now is you need to stick your tubes on the side of your rocket, and they need to be 180. They need to be on opposite side of the rocket, and that means that it will launch upwards, and it will be the most stable shape that you can get. And they need to be roughly the same length. I mean, it's not absolutely critical, but it makes it easier when you're putting the launch clamps in for the launch, because you need to have it pointing upwards. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use the skewers to make a stand for the rocket to launch from. And that's really, really easy. So all you need to do is you need to take your skewers, and about a third up from the point, a third of the way up from the point, you need to wrap the sellotape around it until the rocket can't fall past it. And that needs to be, it does use up a lot of sellotape, but it makes the launching at the end a lot easier, because you need to put all of your effort into pumping, and if you're bothering with like holding rockets up, that just makes it a lot harder. When you finish that, you should have a bottle with 2 tubes on the side, a pump, and some skewers with sellotape around, and then you're ready to go on to the nose cone and the fins. So first, we're going to make ourselves a nose cone, and that's really easy, because we just get a bowl and one of the sides of the cereal that we're using, and we draw around that and then cut it out. And then you cut a line to the middle and make yourself a nose cone by bending it around. And you need to make sure that you shape that to the shape of your bottle, because every bottle's different, so I can't give any specific instructions. But make sure that you sellotape it on securely, and make sure it's pointing upwards, because otherwise the airflow will be a bit dodgy, and it won't fly as straight. And yeah, you want it to fly straight, don't you? Now what you're going to do is you're going to go and make your fins. So you draw the shape that you want on your cardboard, and so basically a triangle. And then you need to layer other bits of cardboard underneath it, by folding, or by putting other cardboard underneath, and then you cut out, and you'll have however many identical fins that you want to put on your rocket. So now, looking at the rocket, the eagle-eyed among you may notice that there are only 2 fins instead of the 3 that I made, and that's because I made 3 just to make sure that I had enough fins that if something went wrong, like I ripped it got cut, then I was ready I could just replace it. And yeah, so in order to attach them, you want to stick them to the, if you're putting 2 on, then you want to stick them to the sides of your tubes. And what that does, interestingly, is it puts them at an angle, and that's actually quite good, because that means that the rocket will spin, and that will actually make it more stable, and that also means it will fly higher. So now you have your completed rocket. So you could just go outside and launch it with air, but if you want it to go higher, then you want to launch it with water. So now we're going to go and fuel the rocket. As you can see here, I'm just filling up the bottle from a tap, and yeah. And a good rule of thumb is to fill half of the bottle. So this rocket that I'm making has a 750 milliliter capacity, so I'm filling it with 325 mils of water. So yeah, that's it. You're ready to launch. And as a demonstration, I'm going to show you the launch that I did with this rocket. And it was the first launch as well, so it's not that difficult. And just a reminder, make sure you pump as hard as you can, and don't aim it at people, because it does hurt when it hits them.